I'll start with like the obvious question, I guess, is how did this tour with the Black Crowes come about?
No one's really quite sure at the moment. I don't think anybody's willing to take the credit for it or take the blame for it either, depending on which way you look at it. I'm not too sure. I got asked by my manager and I said yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it was my manager's idea, so I don't know.
Were you a fan of the Black Crowes before this all started?
Yeah, oh yeah, I think I own all of their records, I think. Even some singles as well, so yeah.
The show, like I told you earlier, the show that I saw, I seemed to be like a very strong crossover of fans, which is a little bit surprising. You wouldn't expect there to be.
I'm not too, well, maybe if you could take a snapshot of both bands, you wouldn't think that they would interact very well. But I think the people who come to the shows think, why wouldn't Oasis fans like Black Crowes and why wouldn't the Black Crowes fans like Oasis? I don't see that. There's only one. There isn't that many things that we don't share. Do you know what I mean? I suppose we're a little bit. I mean, we're a very British rock and roll band. And they're a very American rock and roll band. But I think that the essence of the two bands are still the same.
Well, once you see the show, to me, it became obvious that this was a good matchup. That this was a great combination of rock bands to see together. I read an interview you did recently where you said that you expected this tour to probably make a better musician of you. Why do you think that? Well,
because we're doing a cover each night, and we don't decide until the day of the show what cover that's going to be. So I've got all day to work out a tune today.
Wow.
So it keeps me from shopping. Do you know what I mean?
Has it so far? Then are you feeling that it is?
Well, yeah, because I didn't know. I had never played Lucifer Sam by Pink Floyd or To Love Somebody by the Bee Gees live ever before. I'd never even played them on guitar before, and we just learnt them on the day. So that's really exciting. Yeah, it's to me anyway.
That keeps it. It seems like it keeps it very interesting.
Well, because like I say, it gives you something to do.
Yeah. Since Oasis has been around, obviously, the press has spent so much time focusing on the relationship between you and your brother, obviously. Is it frustrating to you when the press latches on to certain situations and exaggerates them to the point where perhaps it gets blown out of proportion?
It annoys me when they refuse to talk about the songs that I spent fucking 6 months of the year writing. That annoys me. But then the press in general tend to annoy me, and the British press especially. The British press will do anything if they'll do anything not to write about the band and its music, because they generally don't know fuck all about music and the people who make it, and they don't understand the people who make it. So they write about what colour socks you're wearing, or who you're supposed to be dating, and where you're supposed to be going out at night to drink and eat and all that shit. That annoys me. I mean, you'd think, it's like we're in the papers every day in England, right? Literally every single fucking day of our lives we're in the papers. Not one of it. Well, I don't think there's any dates related to music. People just probably think in England we're just these guys that just were famous for being famous, Whereas you didn't spend 6 months of the year recording, the other 6 months of the year fucking touring. Not that we're giving any credit for it, but.
Is the American press different? Do you perceive them differently?
I prefer the American press because they seem to be a bit more musical. But this is with the advent of the internet. You get the British tabloids now posted on the internet, so the stories will travel to America quicker. Some people pick up on it. You find yourself answering questions about fucking bullshit, even in America sometimes. But generally speaking, the American press is far more tolerant of them than I am with the British press. The British press have no respect for anybody who works in them.
Well, based on that comment, itself, I mean, if somebody who follows the British press and follows what they write about Oasis, there seems to have been so many, if it's true, there seems to be like so many times where it might have been easier for you to walk away from the band and to end it, but you haven't.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I like making music. I don't want to be a solo artist, And I think that it would be, it'd make far better reading if people started to focus on me and Liam have an argument or something, and it's like, the fallout of that lasts for like 10 weeks or something. Now, we've been in this band for 10 years and made some you know, written some classic fucking, you know, rock songs, you know, rock and roll songs, you know, and done. We've had a fantastic trip. No, but nobody writes about the creative side of what we do, and the beauty that we've created. It's all about, you know, the drugs and the fucking drinking and all that shit. It just gets annoying because it's not relevant to the music, you know. We're not like Syd Barrett or John Lennon, where we need to take drugs to get to a certain, you know, the music is separate from all that stuff.
Speaking of the music, one of the things I wanted to touch on is that you seem to be pretty comfortable working outside of Oasis on certain side projects, like the stuff that you've done with the Chemical Brothers especially, and some stuff I think you played with Goldie on a couple of records. And do you get the same amount of satisfaction collaborating on projects like that you do in creating the music for Oasis?
Yeah. In a certain sense, more so, because it's not my thing, so you can just you can detach yourself from it. Whereas Oasis is far more important to me than that, where it's like I'm not just the guitar player in Oasis, you know, it's like I'm the songwriter and one of the frontmen and, for want of a better word, the spokesperson. Whereas when you do other stuff, you're just a guitarist, you're someone that's brought in to add something to a record as opposed to creating it yourself, which is fine. I like it.
In terms of that creativity, last year you spoke when Standing on the Shoulder of Giants came out. You spoke a lot about the interviews that I read about the regrets that you had from the time after What's the Story, Morning Glory, right up until recording the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. What were these regrets? What were these regrets
Well,
about?
I just didn't take enough time. I would say I wasn't really focusing on the music. I had too much money to spend, you know, too much time to spend it in. And, you know.
Do you get caught up in that hype?
The last thing you want to do if you got fucking 20 million quid in the bank is go in the studio, believe you me.
You want to go out and spend it and have a good time.
Of course, yeah, man, of course, yeah. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't spend a lot of time writing from about 1996 to 1998. I just scribble things down on bits of paper and think, fuck it, that'll do. But I just, you know, I wasn't given enough time, and I didn't demand enough time. I believed my own press when they said I was the most prolific songwriter of a generation, and that I could turn it on and off like that. And everybody else around me was saying that, and I believed it for a while, and I believed that everything that I'd done was fantastic. Whereas I listened back to all of the lyrics off Be Here Now, and they're just fucking awful, you know, to be honest.
I don't know a lot if everyone would agree with that.
I don't give a shit if everybody agrees with it or not. You know, I wrote them, so.
Mm-hmm. If you're not happy, then no one.
No, not really. That's why we don't play any of the songs off that album anymore.
Can fame get in the way of creativity?
I don't think fame has ever got. No, it's not. You know. I don't know what you mean by that. What, does fame get in the way of creativity? I don't think that I've ever bunked off a day in the studio to go and have my photo shoot done with fucking Kate Moss in Vogue or anything like that, you know. Or to go around to Elton John's house and drink tea and eat biscuits, you know. Drugs get in the way. You know, bullshit gets in the way, you know. And laziness, really, is basically what it is.
So, but with Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, there seemed to be a renewed sense of passion for the music. How did you get to that point?
Well, because then after, you know, that album and that tour, the Be Here Now tour, we had a year off, and then it's like you've got something to prove again. I find that I do my best when I've got something to prove. I mean, it's no coincidence that definitely maybe will be the best, or is the best album we'll probably ever write, because it took 10 years to write. You know, and a lot of people were saying that you'll never get anywhere doing that kind of music. So you're like, you've got a certain drive, and then, you know. But that's coming back now, slowly but surely. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants is probably the second best album, because we had something to prove. You know, we had to go and prove people that we could still do it, and we weren't just celebrities. You know what I mean? And we sort of got halfway there with that record. All the songs are great. There's 2 sets of lyrics which are shit, but that's all right. I think 7 out of the 9 tracks are fantastic. You know? But this next one will be good though.
What motivates you to write these days? Is there something that gets you in that place?
Well, I don't really wouldn't like to pin it down to one particular thing, as long as there is something to motivate me to write. That was the problem with BNL. There was nothing. I wasn't. I was rich. I was fucking famous. I was successful. I had everything I ever wanted. What are you going to write about?
Do you think you need to suffer to be creative?
No. I just think you need some form of inspiration. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it be, because I wasn't happy or sad around the time of BNL, because it was just a drug-induced level of feeling like that. So I didn't have any feelings, And I suppose around about the time of Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, I was coming off drugs, so I wrote about that a little bit. The circle of friends I was involved in, and this record is this new one now is far more optimistic, because I've left something behind, and now I've, to all intents and purposes, got a new life, and I'm moving forward with new people in my life, and just writing about that, really.
That seems to be, so you're obviously evolving from album to album, and now with this new one, is it going to be closer to the first record, do you think?
Well, we're producing this ourselves, and we produced the first one ourselves, so that would be the main similarity. It's just a very up rock and roll record. It's classic Oasis. It's not, it's not rocket science or anything like that. It's not, we're not gonna be winning any awards for cutting edge music, But the songs that we try to write the best songs that we can and record them in the way that we like, and we like traditional sounds, really, But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Do you ever, speaking of surprises, do you ever surprise yourself while you're in the studio, while you're writing?
While I'm writing, sometimes, yes. I don't know, I find it very difficult to talk about me. Because I don't know, you tell me, if I surprise you, then fine. If I surprise, can you actually surprise yourself? I don't think you can. Is that possible?
A spontaneous
I don't want to get off the subject here, but is it actually possible to go, oh, I never knew that about myself? That's bollocks, isn't it? If something requires playing on the guitar, then you go and play it. You don't play it and then go, I never knew I could play that. So I don't know. Do I surprise myself? I would have to say no. I'm at a constant level of genius all the time.
You know what's coming at all times. That's great. Another quote I read from another interview, which I thought was very interesting, was that you said that you think British music is finished here in America for a while. The scene seems to change so fast here, and I think we burned some bridges. Do you still feel that way?
I don't. Did I say we burnt some bridges? I don't know.
Well, I just read it. I don't know if you said it.
Yeah, I think. Well, there's all the music that seems to be in vogue in America now is the rap metal thing. There's not that many metal rappers in England, it has to be said. We're from a bit more of a traditional stock. We're either pop or rock or dance. You don't really stray off them three things really. But I think Coldplay are doing all right out here. But I don't think there'll be another massive band coming from England for a while. I don't see it, to be honest with you. I suppose we may have burnt a few bridges with our attitude, but that was just, it wasn't. I don't have to apologise for that, because it wasn't. We've always had the same attitude, no matter where in the world we are. It's like we don't really play up to being pop stars.
You think people look forward to that attitude though now? It's so much a part of what Oasis is in the public perception. You think people want to see that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Liam. So I'm not that calm. I'm not really a feisty type of bloke, to be honest with you. I'm more into peace and love. Whereas Liam, on the other hand, is not. He's a bit more uneasy with himself. So, but do people want it? I don't know. I've never really thought that attitude sells records.
Are you?
Unless, of course, you're in a hip hop band where attitude, in fact, is all it is. Yeah.
Is there a question that you're surprised you've never been asked before?
That one.
All right then. Fair enough. And I think I know the answer to this next question, but it's just, if Oasis ceased to exist tomorrow, what would you do?
I would get all the other band members' equipment out of my studio for a start, and then stop signing the checks, and probably go on a long holiday, and then fuck about my record label. I've got a record label back in England, so I'll probably do some work for that, and I don't know, probably sue everybody else at some point. I think that's the way it works, isn't it?
I think
Yeah,
so.
probably
Well, that's
file
the
a law.
American way. At
Well, I'd
least.
file a lawsuit against everyone. Just
What
for the hell
is
of it.
this label that you have back at home? Are you signing bands?
Yeah, they've got first. That's already up and running. It's called Sour Mash, and we signed. There's a band on there called Proud Mary. They're just on their second single back in England. There's an album coming out in June. Trying to get them a record deal over here at the moment. And that's quite similar to what the Black Crowes do, really, but a bit more mellow than that. It's a bit more country.
Are you actively out there looking for acts to sign?
I produced the records, and I signed them, produced them, arranged them, and done the artwork and all that stuff. So it's pretty hands-on. I like doing it. It's something that, again, it gets me out of being in a band, and being in the studio, which I like.